Hey, what's up, you guys? This is Mitchell, and we're reviewing things. First one up is dating someone your family doesn't approve of. A few of my partners in the past, they haven't really been, you know, uh, well accepted by my family. That was kind of shitty. I mean, you always want like your family to I mean, the reason why your family doesn't like who you're with is, I think, a lot of the times due to the fact that they don't know a big part of who you are or a part of who you are. So I think maybe they just see you being that with that person as just like so um, uh, incongruent. Incongruent with their perception of you. Yeah, so I'd probably rate dating someone your family doesn't approve of solid 8 out of 10, I would say. I think in the moment it definitely sucks, but I think in the end, you sort of you come out of it better, and at least it sort of opened up the dialogue between me and my family. So 8 out of 10. Next one, lying to your parents. I definitely had a stage where I was like sort of rebelling against my parents for sure. Um, Very angsty. I would say lying to your parents is pretty bad. I think in the moment, like it just sort of like robs away like any sort of fun you're having. Like I mean, assume that you're like lying to your parents for reasons of fun, but I mean there are probably other more serious reasons that you could lie to your parents for. But yeah, when you lie to your parents, you are kind of like doing them a disservice, and then also like in the moment with whatever you're doing, like you just feel like super guilty, and then afterwards you see your parents again, and then you just feel like guilty as well. It's just like just not a good time. Lying to your parents, 2 out of 10. All right, taking care of your grandparents. Yeah, this one's pretty good. I'd say like for me, I'm pretty close to my grandparents. They kind of drove me to the various activities that I would go to, and stay at their house before Chinese school. Um, I still remember this one time when I had an oral exam for my Chinese class, and I was really really bad at Chinese. Like I was already in like the kindergarten class for high schoolers, and I was still doing really bad. But anyway, so the night before the exam, I was staying at my grandparents' house, and I just remember this visual of my grandma sitting in her pajamas on the couch with her arms crossed. And she used to be a Chinese teacher, sorry, a teacher for physics back in China. So she has a very like stern look, um, and she's just making me recite this one paragraph that I memorized so that I could actually pass this oral exam just over and over again. Yeah, so I think whenever I get the chance to take care of my grandparents, I guess it's kind of nice because yeah, they took care of me, so it's kind of nice to also give back and take care of them. I probably rate that an 8.5 out of 10. Online dating, um, yeah, this one it's pretty bad. I think like there's definitely an allure of online dating just because you get to meet like so many people. Yeah, and it's kind of cool because you see like different perspectives, and you sort of run into people who you would never have crossed paths with otherwise. I think I've come to the conclusion that um, you've never run into each other in real life for a reason. I think it's mainly because like you've taken different paths in life, right? And I guess to try to force those paths to come together, yeah, I just find it's just I just felt like a bit unnatural. There's just a lot of finicky mechanics, I think, that really fuck with your brain when you do online dating. Just with all the sort of likes and not getting likes, all that sort of linked to your brain psychology just really really messes with your head. So I think overall it is a pretty depressing experience. I would give it a 3 out of 10. All right, next one. Talking to strangers. I think in general, when you talk to strangers, I think life just feels a little bit more colorful. And I don't mean by just like, oh, when you say like, oh, thanks for holding the door open. I think when I say talking to strangers, it's probably more so along the lines of, I don't know, you guys are both like waiting for your airline refund in the line, and you guys are sort of talking about where you were going to go. Like that kind of happened to me, which was actually pretty cool. And I think the cool thing about it is that, you know, you sort of have these weird moments of intimacy, because it's like you're not really anybody to them and they're not really anybody to you, so you don't have to play any sort of role. You know, you can just literally be yourself, because nothing needs to come out of it, so you can just have that conversation, you know, and it can be just a really genuine and honest one, and just, yeah, leave it at that. So I'll probably give it a 8.5 out of 10. Yeah, 8.5 out of 10. Talking to strangers, 8.5 out of 10. Okay. Yeah, living alone and being single. Well, one thing that is really scary to me is actually locking myself out, because I have a really bad habit of locking myself out. So every single time I go out, I have to double check and visually see the keys before I can actually close the door, because I otherwise, you know, I have to call the locksmith. And, you know, before, like, at least I had my roommate who could bail me out, but like, yeah, so this is kind of like one thing that I've really learned to do. I mean, I think there's also a big responsibility for your own happiness. I mean, I think when you're in a relationship, there are times where I think you can sort of rely on another person to, yeah, make you laugh, and I guess push you to do things that maybe you don't want to. I mean, yeah, yeah, but I mean, through that's where you find like new activities, new hobbies. But you know, when you're on your own, it's just, you kind of have to be that driving force. I mean, you have friends, and that's another thing too. I think like, I feel like before, whenever I was in a relationship, I sort of dedicated a lot of time to that relationship. But then now, being single, like I'm a little bit more diversified in a way, my portfolio, if you will, where, you know, sometimes I spend some time with this person and this person and this, all a lot. I guess I have a lot more friends now, which is, yeah. Which is, I guess, it's kind of nice. So I'd say living alone and being single, say 10 out of 10. Yeah, 10 out of 10.